Hello, and I'm here to give a speech on the war on violent video games and movies. Now the title of my speech is Correlation Does Not Always Equal Causation. Now the reasoning for this speech is according to some of the backlash that's happened over the past couple of weeks over co-movies and games, and this is basically a reiteration of a lot of other people's opinions on this, and I've sort of took some creative liberties and inspiration. So this is a speech that encompasses that argument. This is my argument to it, and my argument is that I'm trying to persuade you that video games and movies are not the reason for mass murders and killings. Moving on. So why is this an issue? Well, it's become a bit of an issue in the last couple of weeks due to because these two mediums, and one being the Joker movie. Now the media was trying to say that the Joker movie inspired an anarchist type person and it wanted you to sympathize and root for a villain, and that's just not the case. The villain in this movie, which is Joker, well, you could really say there's many villains in here. He is just the byproduct of it. And Joker, the movie gets you to sympathize with him, but you don't want to really root for him because he is sort of this psychotic person who needs help. You feel bad, but the killings he has, you don't necessarily like think, oh yeah, that's a good thing. No, you don't think that. You understand that it's bad. The next thing is in Modern Warfare with it has war crimes, it has the white phosphorus, which is very controversial. It's even banned in Russia because it makes the Russians enemies once again. And so that's a common trope when it comes to war, if you think about Red Dawn and stuff, like war movies. So these have garnered a lot of things for their violence and try to correlate, will this make kids more aggressive? Will this inspire mass shooters? You know, it's a very common thing that the media does, and it has no correlation that equals to the causation. It's just a common trope they do as a media. So, does violent video games and movies influence real-world tragedies? No. I mean, just because they put up a graphic that shows all the killers that had played video games, well, of course they played video games. These were all teenagers from like 15 to 21. They're young guys who are men. They're gonna play Call of Duty. They're gonna play Battlefield. They're gonna play all these games. So to think that they weren't gonna do this as teenagers, there's no correlation because there's millions or so of teenagers who play the game. So there's no reason to make that correlation. Even Bill O'Reilly has been quoted saying, just because they're going to play Grand Theft Auto, does that mean they're going to go out and shoot people? Well, no, because you're built with a sense of morality. You're not going to do that. So, because even if you're Catholic, even if you don't believe, even if you don't believe in Jesus or whatever, you have a built-in sense of morality in you that you're just not going to do that. So can violence be subjective? Of course. Somebody can go watch the Marvel movies and think, oh, this is too violent for my son. You know, it's preposterous. It's a really good series, but people could think that. So, like, some people could sit down and watch 300, and others can't, because everything, your violence intake and your gore that you want to watch is all dependent on you. So, violence is subjective and it's artful. And what are these mediums' purpose? The medium's purpose is to give you an escape. It's to give you something to do. It is not there to inspire you to do a mass killing. So it doesn't matter that these mediums are there and they're violent, because they're only there for entertainment, escape purposes. They're not there for you to get inspired to go commit a mass killing as Joker in a movie theater. It's just not that. It's just not what it is. Now, if you abuse any certain media, of course, like, it'll have negative effects on you, but it's not a direct line causation to a mass shooting. And to correlate this, and I want to talk about this because people think of aggression when it comes from these mediums. And so the aggression you get from these mediums, author Craig Anderson, he explains a study of aggression that increases in children and adolescents. But here's the thing. Children who are like transitioning to adolescence and adolescents, they're going through something. They're going through puberty. So their mood swings they are going to be very rapid. So to just correlate the games as that, well, if you take the kid's game away when he doesn't want to be done with it, of course he's going to have a mood swing. If you take his toy away, of course he's going to have a mood swing. If you take his ball away, of course he's going to have a mood swing. These are just how kids are. Kids have always had mood swings. Kids have always got in arguments. That's just how it is. This thing that these kids are supposed to be angels is preposterous, and it's idiotic, and it's stupid. So, to move on, and this is a great quote, and it's from the Bible. If your right hand causes you to sin, cut it off and cast it from you. For it is most profitable for you that one of your members perish, than for your whole body to be cast into hell. And I know that's an extreme example, but everything in moderation. If you sit in a room for 40 plus hours and play a video game, it's going to have negative effects on you. If you just sit around and watch movies and not eat nothing but junk food, it's going to have negative effects on you. To say that it's going to go out there and it's going to make you want to commit a mass killing is just so in the other direction that there's just no evidence to prove that. I'm sure there has been, I mean maybe there has been one person who has seen a video game and I don't want to do that. It's probably not likely, but I'm sure it's not impossible. But to say to totally blanket all mass shooters as that, it's totally idiotic, and these people who are doing these studies need to be doing something better with their time. So, and now let's start looking at some of the blaming for mass killings. Should mental illness be blamed instead? Of course. A lot of these shooters you see are schizophrenia, they're abused, they have trouble at home, they're kids that struggle with interacting with others. So this could be one of the main causations. And then from there it's a build-up. It could be a lot of different things that causes a kid to go out and do what he does. So can bullying be a factor? Of course bullying can be a factor. Look at what happened to Columbine. Look at what happened to all these people. These kids that are outcasts, they tend to wanna act out. And if they believe that they can make a statement with their shootings, they'll do it, because look, they're infamized because of what happens on Fox News and CNN. They give you the body count like it's a stat. They make it seem like this whole big thing. And because of that, you see 2 or 3 repeat offenders in the same week. Because, these people are like, well, you know what, if I'm going to die, I might as well make myself a legend. Because we're still talking about Columbine. That happened, what, in the 90s? So in review, violent video games and media are art. And you cannot blame art for what happens in the real world. It has been tried and true for years. People didn't like rock. People thought rock was bad on society. There's even an article that people thought Superman was a bad influence in the comics. There has always been, everything when there's always a new medium, the older generation attacks it because they think it's not good for the younger generation. To the older generation, your kids are not evil. They're not going to, just because they consume a certain media does not mean they will commit that act from that medium. It is just not how the world works. It didn't happen when you were a kid. It ain't gonna happen with our kids. It's just how it is. So to blanket this, it's honestly baffling because we're not getting to the answer of why these mass killings happen, and we need to get to the answer and the root through mental health. And the bottom line is, correlation does not equal causation. So this is my speech. Violent video games and movies does not equal mass shootings and killings. Thank you.